Okay, we're learning the Ilu Nishmas Ruvain ben Yeshua, the father of the Shalom of our Choshever, Avi Rosenzweig, Baruch Hashem, who joined our share, a very, very honored member in part of our share, consistent, and that's Chosi Rizaycha to finish Shas. Okay, we're up to an interesting Shaila. We're up to Mem Zayin on the base. I'd say we're about 12 lines from the bottom. Boy Rav Papa. Now we know that when a person goes ahead and does Kemitza, right? Person goes ahead and does Kemitza. We had a whole Shaila. What about Bein Abinayim, between the fingers, right? We said yesterday, a person does Kemitza, so anything that's on the outside is Shirayim, anything that's on the inside is the Komets. What about between his fingers? It's a suffix. So we had two eitzes. Either the eitzah one was according to Rabbi Eliezer, to be makrivit l'shem eitzim, or the second was to get a corpulent kohen. If you get a corpulent fat kohen, then you don't have to worry about having bein abinayim. Good? So now the Gemara wants to know Malich Hafonov on Yom Kippur when you do this. Malich Hafonov on Yom Kippur, what's the din on bein abinayim, the stuff that seeps between the fingers? So the Gemara fears us to Shaila. Boy Rav Papa, bein abinayim shal Malay Hafonov. Bein abinayim between Malich Hafonov ma, what's the din? Gemara asks, "My komi boile igam malay malay mehasam." If you're going to learn the Gezerah Shava from Kaimitz, Hainu Hach, it'll be the same suffix. Papa Hachi boile malay Hafonov vehevi beinin. Do you need the malay Hafonov you bring in v'ha'ika, and you have that? By dilma v'lokach vehevi beinin v'haleka. It says v'lokach, meaning you have to go ahead, guys, and do it. The stuff that seeps in between the fingers you didn't take; it seeped in. So therefore, maybe it's not v'lokach. Either way, the Gemara says, Teku, it's a shaila that only Eliyahu will be able to answer. Amra Papa. Now again, what we're doing is this correlation, this parallel between the Kemitza of a Mincha and the Molei Chafanov of Yom Kippur. Molei Konsei Kidekamsi Inshi. Molei Konsei is like people, you go ahead like this, people put it in, Kidekamsi Inshi. I can't take a picture of it, but you might be able to see it over here. Like, if you might look at the one that's all the way on the side, that's Kidekamsi Inshi, right? Now you have a shaila in the next two cases. You might as well look at it, right? Says the Gemara. Pshita Mali Kamat says Kidekamsi Inshi. Boira Papa, Kametz Bereshet Spaisav. Guys, look, he's taking his fingers and he's working it into his fingers. He's working for his fingers, working into his palm. That's one shaila. What? The next shaila. No Mata Lamaila. He's going from the bottom to the top. You can see the picture clearly. Mahu, what's the din? Minat stadin mahu. What about if he's taking it from the sides? The Gemara says teku on that as well. So now, as we said before, Omer Papa Pshitali Moli Chafonov Kidechavshi Inshi. Moli Chafonov is the way people go ahead and do it. There you go. This is, guys, where my finger is. That's right. That's the norm, right? You see that? The picture that's on my right, your left, I'm not sure. Now here's the other shilas. Okay, take a look. I'm going to hold this up while we do the other shilas. So Amra Papa, Pshitli Moli Chafanu Kidechavshi Inshi. Boy Rav Papa, Chafin Bereshet Spaisav. He's putting in the palms of his hand using his fingers. Mahu. No Mata Lamaila. He's putting in the palms of his hands using the going from above to below, below to above. Mahu. Minat Sad Mahu. And those two. And Chafi Minat Sad. Let's see, he goes like this, and then like this, and brings them together. What would it then be? So says the Gemara, teku, and that as well, it's a teku. So let me just. So good we have that chick to tell me what to do, huh? Anyway, boy Amid Aleph, boy Rav Papa, Davka lekaimetz bedoifna demana. You went ahead and you're supposed to take your kaimetz and put it in the bottom of the kli, but you didn't put it in the bottom of the kli. You put it in the side of the kli, right? You put it in the side of the kli. What's the din? Toich kli beinin. Do you need in the kli v'ho'ika, and it's in the ear space of the kli? Aydilma hanacha b'seicha, right? Kitikunoi beinin. You need it to place in a normal manner on the bottom of the kli. For haleka, you don't have that. What's the halacha? Gemara says teku. Boy ma baravashi. Afche lemana. You turn over the mana, v'dafke lekaimitz isay. So what you're doing is you're taking a vessel, you're turning it over, and there's a toich in the vessel, and you're putting on the bottom. This is Rashi. You're putting on the bottom over there. Okay. So this is the toich. Over here you have like let's say hollowed out becha, and you have a little toich over there. This is Rashi, and you stick it by the manamahu. Hanacha b'soicha bein v'ha'ika. Aydilma hanacha ketiknu bein v'leka. Gemara says teku. I did not learn the shaila like this, guys. When I learned the Gemara, here's what I learned. I learned like this. It was like this, and you stuck it in the bottom in this way. You stuck it in, so the chayra. What's the shaila? The shaila, because look at the lashon, guys. Of lemana, you turned over the mana. The dafke lekaimitz barise. According to Rashi, you're not sticking davak. You're placing it in an inverted side. The lashon dafka means it's mashma. You put it in here, but you're putting it in a very, very abnormal way. So hanacha b'soicha bein v'yekoi dilma hanacha b'kin. You need to put it in the normal way. It's not a normal way. Baruch Hashem, I found the Shitim Gubeses, the Masechta Menachos says that pshat. So again, there's two ways to learn. Either Rashi's way, it's inverted, or the Shitim Gubeses way, where it's stuck in the bottom. The bottom line is, it's a teku. Now, we spoke out that the kaimitz has to be leveled off, right? We level off a kaimitz. We go this and we go this, right? So Malei Chafonav, there can be your handful can be heaped up very high, or it could be level, right? Which one is it? So he wants to know: is it mechukais leveled off, or gedushais, or is it heaped up? So I'm Rav Abel Rav Ashi Toshma Malei Chafonav Shomru loy mechukais. It shouldn't be leveled off, for loy gedushais, nor heaped up too high. Elat fufa is rounded off. In other words, it's a bit heaped up, not gedushais, a lot heaped up. So that would be Malei Chafonav. Tanan Hasam, okay, outside, and get into an interesting shaila. We know there's four avodas adam. There's shchita, there's kabbalah, there's halacha, and there's rika. Let's say you shecht an animal, and the blood goes from the animal on the floor. You pick it up, and now you're bringing it. You can't use that blood anymore because there was no kabbalah. It went directly from the floor into the what? From the animal's throat to the floor. Conversely, if you do a shchita, you do a kabbalah, it falls from there on the floor, then since you had a kabbalah, you'll be able to pick it up off the floor, continue on and do this rika. We want to know, guys, Malei Chafonav, how do we view the hands of the kayin? Do we view the hands like the tzavar of an animal, like the neck of an animal, and therefore if it falls on the floor, it's kaput? Or do we view his hands as a base kibble, and therefore if it falls on the floor, you'll be able to use it? So we're going to zushtel the Kohen's hands to the neck, or do we zushtel it to the kaf? Now it's very interesting, based upon yesterday's daf. For those of you who listened to yesterday's daf, the Gemara had a shaila. Nowhere does it mention anything about a kaf. It doesn't mention anything about being a kaf of ketorisin. It says Malei Chafonav. So we asked the Gemara, where does this kaf come in? And we concluded it was a practical thing, not a halachic thing. We said, how in the world, if he has his hands like this with a fire pan on this, how in the world is he going to maneuver the fire pan off and then put it on? He's going to have to take his teeth. Because we said it's a physical impossibility to do it in a bakavitic manner. So we said, so now it's a very good shaila. Since if we view it that way, we can view his hands as what? As being the base kibble, as being the since there is no other kaf. The whole reason we're putting in this kaf is a practical reason. So on one hand, I can view his hands what as the kaf, and therefore if it falls on the floor, I'd be able to pick it up. Or no, the bottom line is you're taking it from here, you're putting in the kli, and his hands is like the tzavar of the animal. So that would be the shaila, the way to learn. So let's see it inside. Says the Gemara, the Tana Rabbanan. The Tana Hasam. We learn Masechta Zvachim. Nishbach Adam ala Ritzpa. The dam of the carbon fell on the floor. V'asfu, and it was gathered by the kohen. Pasul mina kli ala Ritzpa, but it falls from the kli on the floor. V'asfu, when you gather it kasha. Minani Mili. What do you know this distinction? The Tana Rabbanan. It says by the kohen HaMashiach in Perik Dalid in Vayikra. V'lokach midam hapar. Now. It says midam hapar. Now, guys, mem usually means part of. Midam means part. It doesn't say v'lachach dam hapar. It says midam hapar. So usually a mem means mixed as part of it. So now, what does that mean? V'lachach midam hapar, midam hanefesh, From which part? It has to be the dam nefesh. V'loy midama or. It can't be the initial incision where it gets the skin. V'loy midama tamsis, nor the ending blood, the one that's dripping. It has to be the dam that is shooting out. That the dam that shoots out, that's the dam nefesh. Midama por, dam mei hapor yikablena. Now notice the word mei hapor. We took the word hapor and we're adding the mem to it. It says v'lokach midam hapor. Look at go back to the pasuk. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the mem from the word midam and we're going to add it to hapor. That it should read v'lokach dam mei hapor. Good. That's what we're going to do. We're mosif. We're going to subtract and add. We're going to subtract the mem from the dam and we're going to add it to the word hapar. I'm going to create a new word in the pasuk. What's that new word? V'lokach midam hapor, dam mei hapor yikablenu. Dam mei hapor from the dam yishim kabel. Disakadat midam hapor. Now, guys, if you say miktsas, that would mashma, guys, that the kabbalah has to be only part of the dam. It's not true. Midam hapor, midam vafilu miktsas dam. Ivam Rabbi Yehuda, hamakabel sarshi kabbalas kol adam. The keyword being kol. So, in other words, the word mem dalid cannot mean literally. V'lokach midam hapor means, and you just take part of the blood. You makabel part of the blood. We know it's not true. You got to makabel the whole blood. So therefore, we're going to take the mem from the word dam and put it on another part of the word. What do you do? My midam hapar, dam mei hapar. The word dam, you're taking the mem from the word dam, midam, and you're sticking it on the hapar. You kablena. Ukesavar goyrin, we subtract the mem from dam, umaisifim, and we're adding it on to the word of hapar vidarshan, and we're going to darshan that what he has to receive what? All of the blood. Good. Oira papa. Now, nispaza haketoris mimolech hafanov. Just as the dam fell out of the kli, or from the neck of the animal, here the dam is falling out of his hands. Mahu yodoi kitsavar behema dami. His hands are viewed as the tzava, the behema, thus the ketoris would not be permitted to be used. Upsula, aydilma kikli shares dame v'loy psula. And again, guys, it's a very interesting lumdis. On one hand, since I'm going to put it in a kli afterwards, I can view it as the tzava of the behema. Or since that kli is not really necessary in a halachic sense, it's only necessarily in a physical sense, right? So therefore, the real kli is his hands, right? Because again, the only reason I'm doing it is practical. It's not practical sense. So it's a very nice lumdis behind the shaila. Either way, the Gemara ends up, the shaila is teku. It ends up as a teku. Oira papa. Okay, guys, outside, a little hakdama. Don't be guilty. Listen to all this stuff. You're gonna be the only kid in your class who knows this stuff. I'm telling you. Even Sim Neumann doesn't know this. There's in the four avoidus of the dam, in the shchita, in the kabbalah, in the halacha, and the zrika, you're able to go ahead and create something called pigel. What does that do? It says if I have a machshava to burn it, to shecht it, or with the kavana of sprinkling the dam the next day, or I can create through in the avodah to do it at a different zman. That animal now becomes pigel, and if you eat it, you chayav kares. The animal's pasuk chayav kares. The Gemara's shaila at hand, koimetz by a mincha. The koimetz of the mincha is equal to shchita by an animal. We have the analogy. Koimetz is the shchita. Nesinas mincha in the kli is like kabbalah. Hagasha to the mizbeach is like halacha. Burning the ketoris is like the zrika of the dam. So now we know by koimetz there is a din of pigel. You can create a pigel. We have a hekesh tushlam pasuk. Says the Gemara, we want to know, what about moli chafanav? Is moli chafanav an avoida? Let's say when the kohen gadol goes ahead and does chafina and he has in mind to burn it the next day, would it shafa din of pigel in this ketoris or not? Good. That's, in other words, we want to what extent, but we're going ahead, the whole Gemara is making analogies between the minchas of carbon and dam, and moli chafanav. So we want to know how comparable is moli chafanav to a carbon vis-a-vis the halacha of kabbalah, vis-a-vis the halacha now of machshava to create pigel. So says the Gemara, boira papa. So it says the following shaila: Chishev b'chafinas ketayris. You had a machshava at the time where you did the chafina of the ketayris to go ahead and burn it the next day. Mahu mi arminan yolef malay mincha. We learned it from the Karban Mincha. Mahasam, just like by the Karban Mincha, mahanya be machshava. So hachanami mahanya be machshava, meaning, and you would create a pigel. I don't malay, maybe not. Maybe malay chafan is not considered an avodah, and therefore you cannot go ahead right and create a pigel. So only Rav Simi Barashi, Rav Papa Tashma. We'll go ahead and we push it to Shaila. We'll go ahead and we push it to Shaila from the following. This is a Mishnah in Idias. The Mishnah in Idias says that if Rav Shimon ben Beseira testified on the ephah of a para of a chatas that a person touches part of it. So let's say, guys, I have ashes in a cup here. Now think about the ashes. We can view it as a bunch of different particles. Soilless, let's say flour, I can view it as a bunch of different particles. And a person that's tummy touches part of it. Do we say the whole thing is tummy, that the kli is mitzarif? Or do we say, no, it ends just the part he touched? So we're going to say that the kli is mitzarif and the whole thing is tummy. So Rav Shimon ben Beseira spoke about ephah para, and now Rabbi Akiva is adding on to that. Hoysev Rabbi Akiva, he adds on to that hasoiles, flour, v'haketoires, and the ketoires, v'halvaina, and the frankincense, v'hagacholim and coals, shemnagat full yoim b'miktsasan pasan es kulan. That if a full yoim touches part of it, the whole thing is pasal. Now, another idea to know, Toby Gelstein, I'm just keep on pounding the ideas. Another idea to know is that a full yoim can be metama something that has kedushas haguf, not something that has kedushas damen. If it only has kedusha for its value, he cannot be metama it. If it has kedushas haguf, he could. So if full yoim would touch any one of these things, it would have kedushas haguf. It would be tameh. Good. So over here we see that it's over here we have it says ketoiris over here, and it says if the full yoim would touch it, it would be tameh. So now by the fact that the full yom can be metama, the ketoiris is a raya that the ketoiris has a din of what of being kedushas haguf. Good. Now, anything that has kedushas haguf has a din of lina, meaning if you don't do the mitzvah that day, it's pasal the next day. If you don't, again, it's called lina. Leave it out overnight. So leaving it out overnight is similar to pigel. I have a machshava to go ahead and do something the next day. So what's your shaila? Is there a din in Mali Chafanov in the Ketoiris if there's a din in Pigel? Once you prove that a full yoim could be metama the Ketoiris, it must be as Kedushas Aguf. If it has Kedushas Aguf, there must be a din of Lina. If it has a dina, there must be a din of Pigel. Says the Gemara inside. Okay, so Boy Rashi one more time. Amalev Sin Rashi Papa Tashma. I'll be placed the shaila. Hoyser Rabbi Akiva onto the words of Shimon ben Beseira. Hasaylis v'akayris v'almayna v'gechalim. Shimnagat full yom miktsasan pasanes kulan. Now kasat kedaitach over here is very different, guys. Kasat kedaitach usually means it's a half a meter that changes. This is going to be a maskana. Doesn't change. Kasat kedaitach with the pasal full yom. When the full yom passes it, and here's the key: it passes it because it has kedushas haguf. Pasal nami lina. It's also going to be pasal lina if you leave it out overnight. Umidalina pasla nami machshava, and when lina passes it, machshava also passes it. So again, what's the steps? The steps are kedushas aguf, full yom being metama, and then since that's kedushas aguf, lina. Boira papa, amid base. Everyone's going to smile. They look at the amid base. Smile, guys. Amid base. Unless you want to do that taisvis over there, right? Yankel, you want to do the taisvis? Chishev b'chatichas gecholim. He's on the mizbeach. He's taking the shovel. He's looking for the gacholim, the coals, to burn the ketayros on. Good. That's what he's doing. Is that an avoida that would have machshava? You just established that moli chafonov is an avoida that would go ahead and passel. What about that? Now Rashi has a very interesting shaila. Does it mean to passel the ketayros, or does it mean to passel the gecholim? You're going up in the Mizbeach. There's two parts to this. This is the hechsha for putting the ketayros on to burn it, right? Now, when this act of machshavet, I'm going to do it tomorrow in the gacholim, is it pasal the gacholim or is it pasal the getoiris? Rashi seems to say both, and the Mefarshim say that the second one seems to be the ikka that was speaking about being going ahead and being pasling the gacholim. Look at the Rashi. Chishev b'tchias gecholim ma'ula hafsul haketoiris. Right? He's machshab is taking place b'shasta what the chaticha, the stirring of the coals, but we want to know it's going to pass the ketoiris. Do we say what? Machshir mitzvahs k'mitzvah dami v'havile k'machshava ba'avoida loshen acher chishev b'tchias b'chatichas hagecholim ma'u sheyifslu gacholim b'machshava zu. The psilus, the ketaris would be okay, but does it pass the gacholim? Very interesting. I would point out the two shilas. Okay, back in the Gemara. What's the studim to the shilah? What's the size of the shilah? Mahu machshire mitzvah k'mitzvah dami. The preparatory step of a mitzvah is like the mitzvah. So the mitzvah, of course, is burning the ketaris. Getting the coals is just a preparatory step. But if it's k'mitzvah, just like the mitzvah, there's a din of machshava, as we just said on the Yom Aleph. Who are din the machshava would pass here? Perhaps no, maybe it's not like a mitzvah, and therefore there's no din of hachshara to be machashev. And the Gemara says, Teiku. Boy, mina Rav Sheshes. There's the final shal from Sheshes. Haylacha b'smoil mahu. What about by a korban if you carry it with your left hand? Okay, again for the umpteenth time, for avodas adam, shchita, kabbalah, halacha, and zrika. Shchita is kosher bizarre. Halacha, it doesn't say koyin by. Kabbalah it says koyin by. It doesn't say halacha by koyin by halacha, and of course by zrika it says koyin. So now we know Kabbalah has to be a koyin. Once it has to be a koyin, the avoid is possible with the left hand. Halacha that it doesn't say a koyin by, can he go ahead and go with his left hand or not? That's the shaila. Good. Says the Gemara. Tinisua, you learned an answer to. Amulur of Sheshes answered the following. Tinisua, you learned the answer to this. Not less hamachta. You take the machta, you take a shovel. What? Be amino on your right hand. There's a kaf, and the kaf of ketoiris bismailai. So the koyin is going to walk with his left hand carrying the ketoiris. So who adin? You could walk with the left hand carrying the blood. Says Gemara, why are you jumping to be pushed to shaila from? You have a shaila by a korban from mizbeach, and you want to bring a raya from ketoiris. Why don't you learn from something that it says regarding the transportation of the evarim? Haregel shel yamin bismol. The right foot of the korban tamid was transported with the left hand. Ubeis oira lechutz, and the skin was facing the outside. I guess it's more bakavidik. So you see that what? It will be more appropriate to bring a raya from the meat that goes on the mizbeach to the blood that goes on the mizbeach, rather than jumping to Yom Kippur and bringing me a raya from what? From Ketairis. Says the Gemara, Ime Hasam, if you bring me a raya from there, Havamina, Hani Mili Halacha Akva Kapara. Fellas, once the meat is butchered up, you know the kapara has only been a dam. This is way after the kapara has been accomplished. Masha'en came by the ketairis, you're going to do the kapara. The kapara is burning the ketairis. As we saw the other day, that the kaparis is mechapa for everybody, right? The kaparis is mechapa for the kahanim, the Klal Yisrael, and everybody. It's mechapa for everyone. So it's the reason you're bringing your raya from ketairis to dam, because in both cases you're going to go ahead and facilitate a kapara by dam to spritz it and by ketairis to burn it. So therefore, I didn't bring me a raya from transportation of limbs, which already the kapara has been accomplished. Bottom line is, we would place it to shaila that you could use your left hand to do it. Like what? Like ketairis, like kamash malon, that what you could. So right now, I don't want anyone leaving, because if you leave right now, you'd say that you could do halacha with the left hand. We will slug that up right now. Meisive, you want to say you can go ahead and do halacha with the left hand. I'll show you that you can't. Now, just bear in mind, guys, Rav Sheshes is the one who answered up that you could do halacha with the left hand. Rav Sheshes is the one who answered up that you could do halacha with the left hand. Zar, a non-kayin, the oinin, and a person who's an onin, Shikur, a person who's drunk, ubalmum, b'kabbalah, uba'alacha, ub'tzrika pasal. Shchita, they're okay. But Kabbalah, halacha, keyword guys, halacha, ub'tzrika pasal. V'chein, yashev, if you do it while sitting. V'chein, if you do it what? V'chein, if you do it while sitting. V'chein, if you do it while sitting. Pasal, it's pasal. So 1 second. On the second word, the first word on the second line says halacha. The last word on the second line says smile, right? That's with the left hand, halacha is what? Pasal. This is a Tanoic source of Sheshes, Tiyufta. You've been blown out of the water. You're gone. Fred the Gemara, great kasha. It's mashmada of Sheshes didn't know this, correct? Or else he would have been poished. It's an often Mishnah that says halacha with the left hand. It's one line in the Gemara. It's the exact same line. Halacha with left hand doesn't work. So Rav Sheshes, if you didn't know this, it's one thing. I'm going to prove to you that he did know it because he asked the question from it. Rav Sheshes went ahead and asked using this exact Mishnah. So how could he have been poished the Shaila the other way around? The Amalei of Sheshes la Amoira, the Rav Chisda, boy mi name Rav Chisda. He said to Amoira, go ask Rav Chisda the following. Halacha bizar mahu. What's the halacha? The din of halacha bizar. So Amalei, so he said kashera umikra misayeni. And Rav Nachman said it's kasha, and I have a pasuk. The pasuk says v'yishchetu ha-pesach. They shechted the Pesach. And then v'yizriku ha-kahanim, who did the zrika? The kahanim, miyadam, from their hands, meaning from the hands of the zor that shechted it. So if the zor shechted it, how did the kohen get it to do zrika? It must be the zor transported it over to him. So you see the zor can do halacha. V'alaviyim afshita, and Leviyim would go ahead and skin it. So Rav Nachman said that halacha is kosher bizarre. U'moisev Rav Sheshes. Now Rav Sheshes goes ahead and brings in the same brisa that we slugged them up with. It's Mishnah that we slugged them up with. What does it say? Zor v'oinin shikel b'amon b'kabbalah b'ilacha b'zrika pasol v'chein yoishe v'chein smile pasol. So you see what? So listen to this logic. They ask a shaila, what's the halacha about going ahead transporting the dam? Says Rav Sheshes, no problem. We're going to learn it out from Ketores. It's okay. Fred the Gemara, how can you say it's okay? We have a Mefurish and Bryce and Mishnah saying that's not okay, right? And for the Gemara, Rav Sheshes is out of the water. Fred the Gemara, Rav Sheshes, when he asked the shaila, did you know this? Obviously, he did know it because when the whole shaila about his zor transporting, he used it to slug up Rav Chisda. He used the same price that a zor can't do it. So how can he go ahead and have a half minute that the small could do it? The same price, the same Mishnah said the zor can't. Says a small can't. And for the Gemara, boss the shama hada oisva. First, guys, when he heard it, the first time with the shaila, he didn't know it yet. You know when he learned it? He learned it after the shaila by left hand by carrying the blood, and then they slugged him up. Oh, he learned it, and now he learned it. He applied it to Rav Chisda when they asked the shaila by zar. So therefore, he didn't know it taka initially, and then he learned it and he applied it. Problem is, guys, didn't Rav Nachman bring a pasuk over here? Didn't Rav Chisda bring a pasuk? He brought a pasuk that what the yishchetu azar, and then mashma they took it from the hands of the zar. Fred the Gemara of Rav Chisda Krak Amar. He brought a pasuk for Divrei Yomim. It says they shechted it. The kanim did zrika. Mashma they gave it to him. It says the Gemara the oven ma'aset staba. No, what happened was it was a ma'aset staba. They put it down on a. They didn't take it from a zar. The kohen did the Kabbalah. And he put it down on a stand, and then the kohen took it from the stand, but didn't take it from the zar. Yes, Dovi Gelbstein.
In order to be in a Myra, didn't you have to know like every Mishnah?
In order to be in a Myra, you have to know every Mishnah? No. In order to be in a Myra, you have to be a person who is in the ballpark. But you find often that you're asking questions all the time from Mishnayos, and you have to answer them up. So originally, Rav Sheshes, who was an expert, Dovi Gelbstein. If you look at Toysis on Daf Beis Amid Beis or Gimel Amid Beis in Masechta Baba Kama, you'll see Rav Sheshes was an expert in everything. He knew everything by heart because he was blind. He knew everything by heart, but obviously he didn't know this one. Great question. Okay, guys. Again, the Shamash have an Aliyah, Yeshua ben Reuven ben Yeshua, and the Schos of Torah. Really very moved. And again, it's a pleasure to have you and share.